Hi everybody, this is Eric from the Right Click Save project, and you're watching the video walkthrough to our quick and dirty guide to implementing royalties in your NFT contract. So the problem we're going to solve today is that currently there is no way to enforce royalties at a contract level for your NFT project. Now, additionally, with hundreds of NFT marketplaces out there, it's impossible for me as a project creator to tell each one individually what I want my royalty policy to be. So the good news is that there are a few solutions out there trying to address this problem. And in my opinion, the quickest, the simplest, and easiest and lowest cost solution to this is the Ethereum investment proposal 2981. And what this is a royalty standard that you can include in your NFT contracts. And this will allow you to share royalty information with any marketplace that requests it. So let's give a quick example. Suppose you have an NFT project out there of stick figures, and one of them sells on OpenSea. Now, normally as a project owner, I would have to log in and manually tell OpenSea what I want the royalties to be. Now, suppose you didn't do that, or suppose you're on a different marketplace that you didn't know about and you weren't able to log in and tell them the royalty. If you have EIP 2981 implemented in your NFT contract, it doesn't matter. All that would have to happen is the marketplace, the item sells, the marketplace says, hey, stick figure contract, do you honor the 2981 royalty standard? And if the answer is no, okay, fine, then so be it. Then they will do what they would normally do. If you happen to have manually inputted your royalty amount, they would still have that information. But if the answer is yes, and you do in fact honor the 2981 standard, then a marketplace can say, great, because I have an item that sold for, say, 5 ETH, and now, stick figure contract, how much of that native token should I earmark as a royalty, and who should I send it to? And then the contract can tell them that information, and everybody's happy. The developers are happy because they only had a little bit of work to do, and they only had to do it one time. Now the marketplace is happy because they have the royalty information, and ultimately the artists are happy because this increases their chances of getting their just dues, getting their royalties. So now, in order to make all of this easy for us, Open Zeppelin has already created for us a ERC 71 contract that implements this standard for you. So what we're going to do today is we're going to take their code, we're going to augment it a little bit for our purposes, we're going to deploy it on a test net, and then we're even going to see our items on a marketplace, and we're going to test the royalty functionality. Sound good? Let's get started. All righty, so we're back to the article, and we're just going to follow the article. This is a code along after all. So I have provided you'll see it later on in the contract, I have provided on IPFS a series of testnet images that I made, just goofy little stick figures designed specifically for test projects, and you are free to point your contracts to this as well on the test net, not on the main net, if you decide you want to code along. Anyway, so what we're going to do is create a hard hat project. We're going to import Open Zeppelin's preset ERC 721 royalty contract. We're going to tweak it for our needs. We're going to deploy it on a test net, and then we're going to interact with it. So I'm going to open up a shell on the side here and just code along. So let's make I'm going to call our folder called royalty walkthrough. You can call this whatever you want. We're going to get in there and we're going to run npm. Just say yes to everything. And now we are going to install, I'll just copy this. Going to install a few dependencies. This is basically getting hard hat in there. We're going to get the .env file ability in there, and not to mention the contract itself. This might take a minute, so we're going to fast forward. Okay, and we're back. We're going to ignore these Ignore these warnings from Node, and we're going to run hard hat and get this whole thing started. So, and we're going to choose empty hard hat config, and that is it. So let's open up our project and go from here. So hard hat projects, you're always going to get a hard hat config, which we're going to tweak. So we're just going to copy paste right from the article here. Let's see, the Solidity version should be the same, 0817, 017. Okay, good. And now we're going to create a .env file. This is for holding passwords. So let's just say touch.env. This will put it in your root directory. Let's open that file up and copy paste what we have in here. Now you're going to have to a little bit of homework here. You have to go to your own MetaMask, get your private key. You're going to have to create an account on Etherscan if you don't already have one, get an API key, and you're going to post these in your .env file. I'm going to pause this recording so I can put mine in. Okay, and we're back. You can see here we have a .env file. I'm not going to show it to you because that's my private information, but hopefully you got yours set up. And now let's go for the contract. So what we're going to do is create a directory called contracts in our root folder. Tracks. And then we are going to create a file called stickfigureswithroyalty.sol for our contract. You don't have to call it that, but I'm going to for the sake of the tutorial. Now, we are going to copy this whole file, just like it says here in the tutorial. Let's copy that guy. Guess it didn't copy. Let's try it again. Okay, here we go. And let's save that. So a couple of notes here. We have our import. This is the Open Zeppelin contract, ERC 721 royalty, and that's basically what we're extending today. So we also included counters and ownable. This is what allows us to call the owner of the contract. Also, it's going to allow our items to increase one by one with the token ID as we mint. So let's look at this right here. This is our base URI. This is an IPFS address to something I already published, which is basically a quick art project, some silly stick figures that and this is going to be a testnet version that you're welcome to link to yourself, whether you're coding along with this tutorial or if you're doing something else on a testnet. You're free to use this. Do not point any mainnet projects to this work. I've also created a mint function, which doesn't come with the, but there's no public mint function coming with this contract. Kind of have to, write one ourselves. We are calling safe mints. I happen to know that this collection has 1,500 items, so we're going to enforce the mint limits, and that's about it. And we're going to, and this is here is where we increment the token ID after every mint. Now, I also had a quick withdraw function. So, like I said, this is a fully fledged, fully function ERC 721 project. So suppose you just use this by itself and post it on the main net with a different base URI, and somebody buys items and sends money, you will be able to withdraw that money. We're not going to set a mint price for the purpose of this tutorial, but last thing, and this is important, we are going to have to call set default royalty. Now, this comes with the ER 721 contract, but it's not a public function. So we're going to create a public, actually external function where we call this, and it's going to take in the receiver and fee numerator. This is basically the receiver address will be, let's say, the artist where the royalties will go, and the fee numerator is how we define how much royalty it's going to be. And what else should we describe? That's about it for the contract. Now we're going to deploy it. and we're going to interact with it. So I'm going to pause the recording. We'll come back in a second. Okay, so step 3, let's deploy. We're going to create one more folder and call it scripts. Okay, there. And in that folder, we're going to need a file called deploy.js. Now, in there, we're going to copy and paste what we have here, and I'll break that down in a moment. Copy. Okay, scripts, deploy, and paste. All right, so this is mainly from the hard hat documentation, but you can see here we have our stick figure contract, and it's just going to deploy it to and it's going to tell us, it will log out our account balance, where it's deployed, and the address and everything else. So let's go back to the tutorial. Let's copy our command. Now this is essentially telling hard hat to deploy our project on the Goerli network. This is very important, and this might take a minute. Here we go, the moment of truth. We have our address on the Goerli testnet, and let's take a look. And let's see, the Etherscan. I'll pull that up beforehand. Our address there. And there it is. Sometimes it takes a second. Okay, there you go. Sometimes it takes a few minutes to write to the blockchain, but here we go. We have our contract, and we notice it's not verified. So we're going to do that now because I want to be able to interact with it directly. So we're going to call, let's grab that same address, and let's call our verify command. But instead, we're going to grab this address. There we go. It has been successfully verified. Now, if we go back to our contract, we will see that the contract now has that green check, and we're ready to interact with it. Here's the code. We can read the contract. We can write the contract, and that's it. So let's continue on with playing around with it. All right, so let's start with the read contract section. We can see, our symbol was stick figures with royalty, token URI. Let's put a token ID of 0, and we notice that nothing returned. That's because nothing has been minted yet. So it doesn't matter what we put in here. There's no token IDs that are going to return a valid string. So let's mint something first. Let's go to the right contract section. Make sure you connect to Web3 and make sure your wallet is connected to the Goerli network. Let's mint. We can put 0. We're going to mint for free. Let's confirm that. And let's wait for that to verify. There we go, transaction confirmed. So if we look at this token ID of 12, still going to give us an error. But token ID of 0 should now exist. And there it is. That is our URI for token ID of 0. So now that we have a token, let's check the royalty information. So royalty info. Well, actually, first of all, let's check. So let's run through an example. Suppose a stick figure was minted and it was not, and somebody went on OpenSea, bought our token of 0. Now, theoretically, OpenSea should be able to ask our contract, hey, do you support this interface? Now we will have to input, let's see, where is it? this specific string. Now, basically, this is an interface ID that corresponds with EIP 2981. Let's put that in here, and this should return true. Now, if I have a different interface ID, it'll return false. But OpenSea would say, hey, do you respect the EIP 2981 standard? Yes, you do. Great. Now let me check the royalty info. Let's put a token ID of 0. Let's say there's a sale price of 100 ETH. We carry that, and what are we getting? We're getting a 0 address and amount of 0. Why is that? Because we haven't set the royalty yet. So you can do this in a constructor of your contract, or what we're going to do is allow for the project owner to reset the default royalty whenever we want. So we're going to set the default royalty. So we're going to grab our own address here. So let's just say I am also the artist. Fee numerator. So this is in bips. So 700 will mean 7%. Let's write this to the blockchain. Wait for that to verify. Okay, transaction confirmed. So now if we go back to read contract and try this again, we now have an address, and this, here we go. If we have sold it for 100 ETH, that's 7%, that's 7 ETH we're going to send to this address. And that's how that works. That's how easy it is. And that's how we're going to change the royalty game. So now, just for fun, let's go to the OpenSea testnet, and we're going to enter in our contract address. Where'd it go? Okay. And that is our item. And we can see it was minted 4 minutes ago. And that's it. So there you have it. By following this work, you can create your own NFT projects. You can view it on OpenSea. It has IDs numbers for every item you mint. And you have an example of how this royalty standard works. My name is Eric, and I work for CryptoPunks. If you have any questions, please join our Discord. And furthermore, this stick figure is part of a larger project called OmniSticks, which you can mint for free on our website. Go ahead and try it out. Take care.